This fly from Ed Story's Missouri Trout Flies, How to Tie and How to Fish Them, is a blue-winged olive emerger. I'm tying it on a number 18 hook. It could be tied on a 16 using cream thread. The body on this fly is dubbed olive. The wing is a dark blue dun, and the front hackle or overwing is brown partridge. The body can be tapered. It doesn't have to be. I guess it just kind of depends on how that dubbing goes on and how controlled the dubbing is. I don't want a big fat body on this, and I want to also try to keep it fairly clean. Particularly being mindful about fibers up over the eye. I don't have to worry about keeping a space behind the eye for a front hackle because it doesn't really have a front hackle, it has an overwing. So I'm going to try to just clip out some of these big hackle fiber or dubbing fibers just to kind of keep it a little bit cleaner without clipping out the thread. The technique for this fly that makes the wing and hackle adjustable is to use a V-notch. It also is very particular in that it calls for just 8 strands, 8 fibers of the dark blue dun for the wing, cut in a V-notch. So you cut out the tip of the feather and then count out the number of fibers that are needed, pull everything backwards except those fibers, and then you'll see how those fibers are way longer than the hook shank. I want those fibers to be just the length of the body. So separating out 8 fibers, I'm going to lay my hackle on the front side of the hook shank. And that way I'm going to try to keep it from rolling over to the back as I wrap a thread on it. And then I'm going to pull forward with the butt of the hackle, and that will draw those wing feathers. I want them to be just the length of the body, pulling very carefully, making sure not to pull them out or to pull off the thread. And then I can cinch down and do a couple of tighter wraps and then clip out. You can see how the length of the fibers has halved because the beginning of the fibers are here. So just clip that out. Keep that clean. I'm doing the same with the brown partridge feather, which I guess is an overwing. And I've done the V-hatch, counted out 4 fibers on each side. I'll lay those a little bit on the front of the hook shank so that as I wrap, it just wraps up onto the top of the shank. And then again, pulling carefully, gently, so as to not pull out the thread or to pull out the fibers. I want these fibers to reach just to the hook bend or a little bit longer. Like that. And then cinch a couple of tighter wraps to hold them in place. And then I can clip that off. You can see again how I've used just half of the fibers because I want short hackle on here. Now I have used a cream thread according to the instructions from Ed Story, but he says a brown head, so we do that by taking a marker. This is a permanent marker, and coloring the thread. I want to make sure that I've covered far enough down the thread so that I will both wrap and whip finish in brown thread. So get all the white covered up there and the butt ends of those feathers. Whip finish it. A 3-wrap finish is enough since I'm going to be putting some cement on that head. Then as I pull through, I've got plenty of brown underneath of my knot. That makes sure that I don't have any white thread showing. Trim that out. I'm going to do a little bit of trimming down here too on some of these bigger, longer. I'll go say emerger though can be kind of buggy. And then for my head cement, I do use a diluted goop. I just dip a needle in my jar, get a drop, and drop that on, and then it soaks in and it dries kind of rubbery. It's not a hard cement. A blue wing olive emerger from Ed Story.